Okay, welcome one and all to Don Stacy's YouTube channel. Earlier today I was in my garage and I was straightening up several books I have resting on a shelf above the workbench. And one of them was a selected works the basic writings of Bertrand Russell. And Bertrand Russell was an English philosopher from England, of course. He won the De Morgan Prize in 1932, I believe that was for mathematics. And then in 1950 he won the Nobel Prize for Literature. Now, something interesting about Russell is that he spent time in prison for his adherence to pacifism during the First World War. People on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean were very gung-ho about war then, although the United States was, I should say, typically reluctant to enter into a war that, on the face of it, they had no immediate reason to go, since it was on the other side of the world. But as we learned in World War II, we had plenty of reason to do so. And we still do to this day. But Russell has some very, very timely ideas that he expressed. I'm not sure when this essay was published, but maybe I can find that out. Certainly it was before his death, anyway. It's just about the last entry in this collection. It's titled Science and Human Life. Science and the techniques to which it has given rise have changed human life during the last 150 years more than it had been changed since men took to agriculture. And the changes that are being wrought by science continue at an increasing speed. There is no sign of any new stability to be attained on some scientific plateau. On the contrary, there is every reason to think that the revolutionary possibilities of science extend immeasurably beyond what has so far been realized. Can the human race adjust itself quickly enough to these vertiginous transformations? Or will it, as innumerable former species have done, perish from lack of adaptability? The dinosaurs were in their day the lords of creation, and if there had been philosophers among them, not one would have foreseen that the whole race might perish. But they became extinct because they could not adapt themselves to a world without swamps. In the case of man and science, there is a wholly new factor, namely that man himself is creating the changes of environment to which man, through his scientific skill, is the cause of the changes of environment. Most of these changes are not willed by human beings, although they come about through human agencies. They have, or at any rate had, so far, something of the inexorable inevitability of natural forces. Whether nature dried up the swamps or men deliberately drain them makes a little difference as regards the ultimate result. Whether men will be able to survive the changes of environment that their own skill has brought about is an open question. If the answer is in the affirmative, it will be known someday. If not, not. If the answer is to be the affirmative, men will have to apply scientific ways of thinking to themselves and their institutions. They cannot continue to hope, as all politicians hitherto have, that in a world where everything has changed, the political and social habits of the 18th century can remain inviolate. Not only will men of science have to grapple with the sciences that deal with man, but, and this is a far more difficult matter, they will have to persuade the world to listen to what they have discovered. If they cannot succeed in this difficult enterprise, man will destroy himself by his halfway cleverness. I am told that if he were out of the way, the future world would lie with rats. I hope they will find it a pleasant world, but I am glad I shall not be there. That's the first paragraph. Now, it's useful to remember that Russell did most of his work in the early part of the 20th century, and after the 40s and 50s, most of his work was directed toward a lay audience, I believe. Although I haven't read him extensively, I've read some of him. Initially, one of his first major projects, and certainly his major work in mathematics, was a collaboration with Alfred North Whitehead, the Mathematica Principia that they published, and in it, Russell deployed his theory of classes to try to explain some of the paradoxes that he was fond of presenting to the philosophical community. And of course, he was extremely well read in his own field, philosophy, and he certainly understood a great deal about mathematics. Especially in terms of abstract algebra. And what to me is very interesting about Lord Russell, as he was later known, was that he was a pacifist, and he was actually imprisoned for his beliefs early on, probably in his 20s. When World War I was underway, and all good, healthy, stout men in England readily submitted themselves to the trenches in France. And as the literature